Hey guys, welcome back to Repticai. In today's video, it's going to be the first video in a new series on the channel called Meet My. Meet My is basically just an introduction video to all the animals that I have. So there's going to be many coming in the future, so stay tuned for those. But I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to give like the history behind the animal that I'm talking about, my experience with the animal that I'm talking about, and just like that animal's story in general. I think it's pretty interesting. So if you guys want to see that, definitely keep watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Repticai. I just made it. The link will be in the description. I've been posting on there relatively frequently, more frequently than YouTube. And then don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can see all the new videos that I'm coming out with. Literally so awkward, but it's fine. So anyway, if you guys want to see the first episode of Meet My, just keep watching. Okay, so this here is Ralph. He is a runner. He is a crested gecko, and the scientific name is literally so hard to pronounce. That's my best go, huh? That's my best go. With this Meet My series, I wanted to give like the history and like the backstory on these animals. I don't know, I think it's kind of cool to know where they came from, like just like some good information, you know? It's always handy. Crested geckos are actually native to southern New Caledonia, which is, I think it's an island in a group of islands, or it's a group of islands in the Southwest Pacific Ocean. It is believed that most of the current captive population comes from this area, which wouldn't surprise me. Crested geckos were actually thought to be extinct until the rediscovery of the species in 1994. It was an expedition led by a guy named Robert Seep, I believe. So yeah, we can thank him for the rediscovery of these cute things. They're so cute. Oh my god. So that was a pretty quick background on the history of crested geckos. Now for some facts, some just basic facts about crested geckos. So sorry if the lighting's changing. I'm doing my best here. Crested geckos are actually arboreal reptiles, which means they live like high in the trees in the forest, and they never, or they, no, shouldn't say never, they rarely visit the bottom of the forest floor. And they basically just love to climb. They're climbers. Crested geckos are more active during the night. I wouldn't say they're 100% nocturnal, but they're definitely more active in the later parts of the evening. Actually, with Ralph, as soon as the lights go out in the bedroom, he comes out, like as soon as the lights go out. Unlike my leopard gecko, if she were to drop her tail would grow back. Ralph, if he dropped his tail, he would not grow back. It's not too uncommon to see a crested gecko without its tail. So his tail is semi-prehensile, which means he kind of uses it as a fifth limb, but not completely. Like, he doesn't totally rely on it ever, so that's why he's semi-prehensile instead of just totally prehensile. Crested geckos can actually fire up and fire down, so right now he's definitely fired up. When he's fired down, he's just a very pale, muted green, and this pattern on his back doesn't really show, but he is just such a beautiful little guy. In the wild, the crested geckos feed on small insects and rotting flowers and fruits. Oh, and I've noticed actually when I put Pangea in there, he eats it when it's like dry and crusty, more so than when it's fresh and wet. They lick their own eyeballs to keep them clean because they don't have eyelids, which is pretty unique and cool. Oh, now to Ralph's story. So I rescued Ralph from Craigslist, and as soon as I saw the pictures of him, I knew that I needed to get him into a better setup. Like, I just felt so bad. I don't know exactly how old Ralph is, and neither did his previous owner. Well, the conditions he was living in were actually really bad. So I knew right away I needed to take him in, and I put the first video that I posted on this channel, you can actually go and see the before of the tank when I first got it. I'll link that down in the description below, so if you want to see that, definitely click that. His diet was terrible. They used pellets as his main diet, and I'm assuming they never fed him any insects, ever. So obviously there was neglect. And as you can see in these texts, it's just not a good situation. She's like, we don't know much. He bought him from his friend who was moving. He honestly didn't know what questions to ask him. We had him for about 2 months, and her son only got him out like once or twice in the first couple days, and then after that, didn't ever get him out. And these are the Fluker's pellets that he was eating, and it took a while to get him on Pangea, actually. And he's slowly gaining his weight back. So Ralph has come a long way since I first brought him in. He was very skittish and nervous at first when he first came in. I started him on the Pangea insect diet, and he's been enjoying that, and it seems to work well for him. So Ralph is not much of a climber, and quite frankly isn't very good at it. And I believe it's because the way he was raised, and he also had a lot of stuck shed on his toes and feet. That had probably been there for quite some time, so I just don't think he was ever given that opportunity to learn how to climb, really. He's upgraded to a much larger tank now, and you guys saw that video, so he has a lot more room to explore, which he does do. And he does enjoy to spend a lot of time at the bottom of his tank, which is pretty rare, I think. I moved his food dish to the bottom because it's pretty hard for him to climb to get his food, so he knows he's got his little food spot at the bottom of his tank now, so it's pretty easily accessible. And we're definitely working on it. I'm trying to rehabilitate him, basically to try and get him a little bit better at climbing. The substrate I first used when I got Ralph was Eco Earth, and I quickly realized how bad of an idea that was. He had been raised on reptile carpet and not a loose substrate. Just to drastically introduce Ralph to Eco Earth was definitely my bad. I should have thought that a little bit through. But I've definitely learned from it, and when we were using Eco Earth, he would end up with like mouthfuls of Eco Earth in his mouth, and it was so scary because he'd like shake his head super violently. But now we've switched over to just paper towels, which is, it's not the prettiest, but honestly I don't really care. It's working a lot better for him. Trying to think of a more attractive solution, but at the moment I'm not too concerned with it, really. So this is pretty scary story, but it obviously has a good ending because Ralph is here. So our cat Calvin is just an asshole. Since we first got our reptiles, Calvin's been obsessed with them, and he's never been eager to get into like Chanel's cage or anything like that. So when we brought Ralph in, he was like obsessed with Ralph. Calvin started to like break into like the top of the Exoterra screen tops, and this happened a couple times. And we were trying to correct it. And then one day we came home and accidentally left the door open. And I walked in and noticed that his brand new Exoterra cage that I had just built was broken into. And I was like, okay, it's just the screen, we're good. And then I went and looked like a little bit closer and realized that Ralph wasn't in there. So I started to freak out. And then all I had to do was turn around to see Calvin sitting on the floor, and I knew he'd either killed him or seriously hurt him. And I couldn't find him until Calvin moved out of the way. Like, he was just sitting in one spot, and then he like moved out of that spot, and Ralph was behind him on his back, and I was like, oh my god, he's dead. So I like freaked out, and my mom had come over just in time, and I was like, perfect timing. My mom came over, and then she saw that he was breathing, so I scooped him up and examined him. Like, I was so nervous. He was so scared. He was breathing so heavily, hardly breathing at some points. And he was perfectly fine. Like, no injuries, no scars, no nothing. Just lots of trauma. But yeah, that was definitely super scary. I treated him for shock for a couple days after. Just because it was a really, really, really bad situation. And I'm just so thankful that Calvin didn't seriously injure Ralph, because I was already losing it. Everything's going great now. We have the new reptile rack, which is really, really working out for us. And it's more cat-proof than anything we've ever had, but it's not completely cat-proof, so we still kind of have to keep him out of the bedroom when we're not around. But yeah, that's the Calvin story. It's pretty gnarly. He's a survivor. He did so good. And he's doing so good. That was a while ago, and he's been good ever since. Oh, Ralph's doing amazing now, and he's very used to his new and better life, I would say. There's still a couple things that I want to work on with him, like getting him to eat a live insect would be awesome. I keep trying, and we'll get there eventually. But right now, he's just not too keen of the idea. And I want him to get a little bit more social. It'll take time, but overall he's a perfect fit for our little family that we've got going on here. So I will definitely admit that Ralph is the animal that I have that I've had to put the most work into. But it's really nice to see him change and get a little bit more comfortable with certain things. At first when I got him, he was super nervous, and I was pretty sure that I wasn't going to be able to rehab him. But I've gotten him into a pretty stable spot, and we've made a lot of progress. And I can confidently say he's a much happier gecko now, that's for sure. He has a pretty gnarly life. He's already been through a lot. So yeah, he's just super cute. So thank you guys so much for watching. There's gonna be multiple videos that belong to this Meet My series. Pretty excited for you guys to see them. I have 2 more to film, and one of them is actually going to be a reveal video for the new animal that we got at the Reptile Expo. And speaking of that expo, we didn't get to film as much as we'd hoped for, so I'm going to include that footage that we did get in the Meet My video. That's the reveal video, so you will eventually see that footage, but it's just really not very much, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm super excited for the future videos that I have planned. Stay tuned, and don't forget to subscribe to Repticai here on YouTube, and follow the Instagram account at Repticai. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching, and Ralph says goodbye. Say goodbye, Ralph. Hey. Wait, focus. There we go. Say goodbye. Say goodbye.